Materials and information provided in this broadcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended for use as diagnosis, prevention, or treatment of a health or other problem, or as a substitute for consulting a licensed medical professional. Some concepts presented herein may be theoretical and have little or no scientific substantiation. Users are advised to conduct their own diligence. Welcome to Ask the Experts, where you'll learn about a variety of life-enhancing subjects. Today, we delve into holistic healing and whole food nutrition with the Natural Health Authority, Jason Eagle of Strategic Healing. And now here's Jason.
Okay, everybody. Hi there, this is Jason Eagle, your Natural Health Authority, back with another show. And I'm Jason Eagle. I am a QRA practitioner. My company is Strategic Healing. My website is strategichealing.us. Not only am I on the radio show right now, but at the same time on my Facebook. So there's a Facebook Live. My Facebook page is Strategic Healing. And later I post it on my YouTube channel, which is Jason Eagle QRA. I have an office where you can come in and see me and or call me up, and we can do FaceTime, Skype time, but we can do in-office appointments now. And we are basically helping you get natural health, helping you to get healthy. I help you get healthy. That's a different model than what most people say, going to, let's say, a health practitioner or a doctor or something like that, which is, hey, you fix me. Well, that takes some of the responsibility. And that's one of the things is when you look at, for instance, one of the real, when you talk to nurses, when you talk to doctors, when you talk to family members of people who are ill or unhealthy, when you talk to everybody around them, which is they want me to do it for them. That's one of the problems. Compliance, which is, okay, here's your list of stuff to do, but do you go home and do it? I can't make you do it. Like they say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Well, that's one of the problems. And so that's where if you have a model that's based upon expecting that, you fix me, I'm just going to lay here or sit here and you do it. That's not really the right way to go, because then that puts somebody else in responsibility. And it also, because we die for lack of knowledge. That's what the Bible says, but it's a basic premise in the sense of if you're unhealthy and any of these underlying conditions that we all, that's the worst of the worst, is just, it's been years and years of this happening. Well, what are these things? There's diabetes. These are heart conditions. These are, all of these different things. They boil down to, this is not just your lot in life. Almost 100% it has to do with you just didn't know that that's what you should have done. You didn't know that's what you shouldn't have done. Even when we get into genetics, when people are saying I have cancer in my family and stuff like that. What that really, the bottom line of these different things should tell you is genetics helps you to kind of know that, oh, that's this. I'm this type of person. And our genetics tell you, because the genetics can also be propped up and helped. You can't change your genetics. Well, you kind of can, but that's much, much later. But if you can't change it, what does it mean? All it means is for you in particular, part of it has to do with your ethnicity, part of it has to do with your personal history, part of it comes with your family history, some of it does with all these things is, okay, you're this type. It's very similar to like a car, right? Like a car, that's the thing, is the body, there's mechanics going on, and then there's other levels, but like, this car that I'm driving an Acura. This is the very first car that I ever owned that is, you have to have premium gas. Before it would be buy the cheap gas because it was like, yeah, it's cheaper, and they all basically say you can use this one. But the higher level engine you have, if you run it on regular fuel, you will ruin the engine. Okay, so either you pour some of this extra stuff in, and then that's what I do because I'm still cheap. And so what I did is I found out how to, that additive, the fuel additive, I bought it in cases from an auto company so that I can basically supplement my fuel, buy the cheap fuel and add a bottle of this stuff for, $1.50 a bottle. And now I'm not that much more, but I get to have premium gas, or I just pump premium gas. Well, that helps to know. If I never looked at that, if I bought that car and I just put the same gas in, or let's say I bought a diesel car, right? And I put the gasoline in the diesel, I would ruin it. Or let's say I put diesel into a gasoline, you would ruin it. Um, this is what genetics are. This is what unhealth is, and is because you don't necessarily know what your operating manual is. So part of what I do is help to point these things out because these are well known. They are very well known. Now, but there's a lot of things to do. Like I said in my last show is that if you have more melanin in your skin, if you're a darker skinned person, if you don't get a lot of sun, and I mean sun on all your skin, like bare arms, and you're out there in the sun and in a place where there is sun, then you better be on vitamin D. You better have higher levels of internal vitamin D because that if you don't, you're at a much higher risk for heart disease. And so part of my opinion, this is my opinion, part of one of the problems of where we got into is either we didn't know these things or we did know these things and we didn't necessarily want to tell them to people because it kind of bridged some of the things like, I don't know if we should tell them that because, what are they going to think of that? And I don't want them to think I'm being racist, or I don't want them to think I'm profiling people and stuff like that. Okay, but if you don't know it and you are at a risk, and if you did know it, then you take away that risk. So that's what this show is all about. That's what my practice is all about. I've been doing natural health for 25 to almost 26 years now. So I've had a lot of people, and that's part of what I'm going to do later in the show today too, is I'm going to go over some of the past cases because today a lot of what shows today's show, the number to call in is 313-272-5600. Again, Jason Eagle, your natural health authority. Is here's some good questions. Is now that we've kind of come through, especially with this crisis that we've been in, which is now the question is being, what should we do now? Okay, what does it all mean? We're looking at this data and stuff like that, and because we need to be ready to change your life. You need to be ready to either go back out there and do the same thing, and many people are not going to. Now, as I've said on a number of shows before, there's other people that I recommend that go much deeper into some of this stuff than I do, than I can do on this radio show. And one of those persons is Dr. Vincent Medici. He has a radio show out in California. You can go to his website, which is www.medici, M-E-D-I-C-I, enterprises.com. And he does a lot of critical thinking stuff, going over the news. He's a doctor, going over what other doctors saying, going over but what model are we doing based upon what doctor said. And then there were other doctors at the same time that came up with a different model. And that model of what we're seeing happening, which is the actual reality, it was their model. So the model that it was, the opinion is was it the wrong model? Yes, they got it wrong. Now, I don't blame them because it's like we didn't know, okay? But we do know so many different things now in terms of, but let me not get into that. Let me get into, well, what does it all mean, okay? What it means is as I said in a number of shows, is if you take the commonality of what everybody says, it is if you have underlying health conditions, if you had things that you didn't know about your body, that you did and weren't supposed to do, or were supposed to do and weren't doing, that's how you got there. That's how most of these people, it wasn't just age. There was other things going on that they were not treated, and it wasn't not so much medically treated, it wasn't addressed and changed in their lifestyle. So if you, for instance, have high diabetes in your family, or have diabetes or pre-diabetic, you can't have the same relationship with carbohydrates, meaning you can't eat wheat and cakes and cookies and pizza and breading and all of this stuff with just abandon. That's bad for you. And it's not only bad, it's death for you. It's early death for you. It's a guarantee and it's a guarantee of pain. Now, there's a person that's sitting next to you who is super healthy and he's just going hog wild on that. That's not fair. Well, it's their body. Their body is different. And again, that's the goal here, is finding out who you are and what you are. And so that you can then come up with, okay, that doesn't work. That gives me this result, so that I can be ready to pick a path. Pick a direction. Sometimes we need to be ready to change direction. And this thing that we're going through right now, which is, this thing is not any different than everything. This is the answers now are the answers of what have always been and always will be. But we just have a greater level of importance of these simple things, and personal responsibility and accountability, which is, if you don't know it, again, if a person didn't tell you that you shouldn't put diesel in this gasoline car, and you ruin the car, you could say, hey, you didn't tell me, right? But the person could also say, it says it in big words, you can't do that. And also, it's a different nozzle, it doesn't fit in there. Like if you try and put the diesel in the gasoline, it's a bigger hose. Like you had to force that in there. There was things that stopped you, that were trying to stop you, that you passed over. I'm using analogies a lot, and that's what I would say is analogy is yes, there's a responsibility of society and the knowledgeable to tell you what you should know. But I can't think it for you, I can't change it for you, and I can't emphasize it for you. And I also, because there's also news that's out there and information that one says one thing and one says the other thing, and they contradict with each other. And if I do the wrong thing, or if I do nothing, for me, that's just as bad as doing the wrong thing. So right now is a perfect time for all of us. This is a perfect time. And so whether it be health, and when we're talking about a career, meaning how am I going to make money to buy this food? What am I going to do with my time? These are all the things that are all up in the air right now. And this is a perfect time right now to basically say, what's the direction that I should be going in? I'm going to tell you that I'm going to go on record of saying I perceive these things, and I think it's going to happen this way, which is, you're going to find a whole bunch of, that's why you see a bunch of people out walking around, and it's so great. And the parks are packed right now. Yes, people are social distancing, but they're out there. They're running, and it's packed like never before. People are cooped up, and people are going to be ready to get out. And so people, like for instance, I know a gym owner that owns like a gymnastic gym or another gym, and they're struggling. They don't know if they're going to make it. But I'm telling you, if they're able to make it through, they're going to be full up like no. There's going to be some people who say, I'm not taking my kid there, but there's going to be a whole bunch of other people who are like, thank God I can get back to it. And then there's a whole bunch of other people who never would have gone to a gym, who never would have gone on a vacation, or put it off. And it's like, we don't know when this is going to happen again. Let's get it in right now. So there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to go on vacations because they don't know in 3 months if we close back down again. Which is true. We don't know. It very well happens. So get it in right now. Start exercising right now. Start, going to the gymnastics gym. And what I'm telling you is the people, the businesses that are going to be still standing, these healthy decision types of things are going to be flocked, and you're going to be okay. And it's going to help to also rebuild people's immune system. Again, it's a real deep answer. There's another thing, which is people going back to work. There's some people that were furloughed, and it's like, now I have an opportunity, which is, am I going to go back working for them? I'm going to tell you, if you really have your sights on what works better for you, is most conditions, it's better to find out how you can work for you. And so now's the time. Everybody's in the same boat, and it's hard to start a business. It's hard to leave one thing, but this is true for everybody and their support. So maybe right now a healthy decision. We're not just talking about supplements and sleep and stuff like that. We're also talking about, like, how do I spend my time? And maybe now might be a time. You might be have a line of work that there are some great loans out there, and it might be in free interest, and some of them are grants, and it's like they're going to help people to kind of go, you know what, go out and work for yourself. Go out and start your own company or something like that. Yes, I've done it, and I speak from experience. I am completely without a net. I have been a sole proprietorship for 26 years, and in the beginning it's hard. But now it's great. This is awesome. It gives you so much more freedom. You don't have to make as much money because you don't have as many things going out. And so it doesn't work for everybody, But we're now at the point where it actually could work for more people than not. Companies are going to make decisions, which is, I guess, we don't have to have so many people here. We can have them at home, and it's cheaper for us, and it works better for us. And then I've had other people in this past week. What am I going to do about the kids? And I can tell you, there's a whole bunch of parents who said, you know what, this homeschooling things, they like it. It's better for them. They do better for, and so let's figure out a way to do this. And you get a bunch of parents that let's do our own homeschool thing. This is something. Let's start up our own little kind of, And there's going to be support if you need money to do that. I guarantee you, you do the right type of grant writing and find they're there to help you, right? Because there's going to be a bunch of people, parents who's like, if they opened up school tomorrow, they wouldn't go. They wouldn't send their kids. They're too afraid. But then it goes the other side is there's a bunch of parents. I know some parents are like, I got to go back to work. I can't stay here with these kids. What am I going to do? We need school, but we need a safe school. So these things are time to figure out, and it's time for us to figure out collectively and personally what works better for you. And there's no time better than right now. I will tell you that there's like, for instance, before it used to be the trajectory, which is if you wanted to do good money and you had a career which required you going to college. I've been telling people for years, maybe that's not such a good idea because you know how many people are in deep, deep debt and they never make their money back? Some of the top people right now are the doctors and the nurses that I'm telling you, you're going to have their debt forgiven because it's a burden on them. But now we get to a point where is there people that actually would have made sense instead of going to college and not, having a career in that? I just wasted that money. What if I just go to like a trade school? I really want to be a welder, or there's all kinds of other different trades that like those are great. And then again, some people, which is I didn't go to college and I started up a career, started up a food truck. Or a natural health practice, which is, didn't go to college for this. There's people who say, I won't go to that person without those letters after their name. But I'm telling you, there's other people out there that are like, listen, if they're telling the truth and they help people, I don't care what the letters are. Like, I want results. And results doesn't necessarily mean you have to have letters or you have a big name or big, a debt. So now is a time, and again, maybe people are finding, I'll tell you a story later about a woman that part of her healing journey, part of her where she was and where she is right now, it led her to, you know what? I need to move. I'm moving to Florida. When I go on vacation there, I feel so much better. Let's just move. Let's move to Arizona. Let's move to these places where I get better sun and their life and their health challenges. That was part of it. Meaning, no matter what we did to help them, the body was still saying, the spirit, the soul was still saying, you need to put me in a better place that fits me. And it made all the difference in the world. Some of these now is a great time to really think about these things because everybody's in the same boat. And as I said, I've been doing this for 26 years, and so I've seen all these different types of things. And what is the story? What is the end story? Are there end stories for the people, which is what happens after? And I'm going to tell you a bunch of these things. I'm also going to, we have Dr. Sivakumar on here today again. Is this doctor that has been treating COVID patients. And, we're going to get into, well, what after? And he's going to answer from what he's seen from the very beginning all the way up to right now, which is not, like I said last time, this is right from the horse's mouth of what have we learned and what has this person seen in treating this. And the whole goal is to help inform people truthfully to weed out the what you would call possible false information, but also why? To build confidence in the listener and the person so that you can kind of go, what to expect makes people feel better. And then again, also what's really going on takes a lot of because most of this is run by fear, and most of the fear is we don't know what's going to happen. It's the fear of the unknown. That's the biggest thing. Okay, so but you can narrow down some unknowns to get to be knowns. So this is Jason Eagle, your Natural Health Authority. I'm going to take a commercial break here, and we'll be right back.
If we've learned anything from the recent medical crisis, it's how extremely important it is to maintain our good health. Diabetes, asthma, pain, and other underlying conditions weaken our ability to stave off viruses and heal even minor scrapes and cuts. This is why it is so vital to heal, not just treat, chronic health issues. It is possible to overcome underlying health issues and return to a strong and healthy state, and it can be done naturally without the inevitable side effects of medication. But first, you must make that choice to be healthy. Your next step is to contact Jason Eagle of Strategic Healing Center at 734-985-5891. Jason will get to the heart of what is really causing your underlying health issues. Then he'll create a customized plan that will get you back to your natural, healthy self. Get on the path to better health. Call 734-985-5891 to make your appointment with Jason Eagle of Strategic Healing. Or go online to wrdt560.com/askingtheexperts and click on Strategic Healing. And tune into AM 560 WRDT every Wednesday afternoon at 1 for healthy living advice from...
Hey there, everybody. This is Jason Eagle, your Natural Health Authority. I'm back, and I wanted to keep going on about this a little bit, which is we were talking about, well, where do we go now? And now that we've come through some of these things, we've all come through these things together. And let me tell you, I know how bad it is. I also know how good it is. I'm going to say right now is I've been open the whole time. Yes, I lost a lot of business just like everybody, but I didn't 100% close down because I was able to do contact lists and stuff like that. And I still had people coming in. I had still people getting supplements and helping them and going about business as usual. So if you're looking for a business that like is insulated from even these types of things and can do good in all times, these things can do consulting and stuff like this. I can still fit the model of what needs to be healthy for everybody, but I can still financially be healthy because I can still keep working and I can help people without exposing, so I did it all the right way. Now, I'm going to tell you too, I understand. Let me tell you a little story about how, like, there's stress, and I went through stress. Don't misunderstand me like I'm just, da-da. No. Let me tell you a little story about one of the things that I went through during this, which is I have a daughter, and she lives in Ann Arbor. And she doesn't have a car. She doesn't have her driver's license yet. And when we were at the point, which is they might close down any of these cities, might not be able to get in and get out. And I live an hour and a half away from her, and I remember going to see her and bringing her little care packages of these different supplements so that we could make sure that we didn't get sick. And she lives in an apartment building with all these people. But it was like, what am I do, Dad? If if the city closes down, I'm not staying here. And I'm like, well, I agree, but you don't have a car. How can I help you? And so we came up with like literally like a rally point. Like, if you go to Cedar Point, like if you ever get lost, let's meet here. And we said, if you ever get lost, you can walk and it'll take you, a few hours, but I'll meet you here and I'll pick you up. And it never happened, right? It never happened, but for a moment we went through the scenario, kind of like a World War II scenario, which is like, I love you and I can't be with you right now, and if it ever happens, I'll come get you. Boy, that was stressful. And we handled it well, and now we feel better because, whew, it didn't happen, but we already lived through that scenario, and it already went over the hump, which is what would happen if. And so, in many sense, it's made our relationship stronger, and it's made us, even me personally, meaning, okay, I feel more confident of like, okay, if something really bad happens, we have a plan. But thank God that this has not happened, but it was real, and so I understand what people are going through. But throughout the time, I was breathing, I was doing like I suggest you do, and rather than not talking about it, we talked about it, we talked it through, and it was like, you feel better? Yes, I feel better. I feel better too. Okay, good. I love you. See you later. And then we talk on the phone and stuff like that, and I still do go see her, but you know, I am what we've all come through, and we're still coming through it. I had this little vision, if you remember, at the end of Saving Private Ryan, when the Hanks character is shot and he's laying there and he's dying, and he comes up and he whispers to the Private Ryan. You can barely hear him, and he gets in his ear and he says, "Earn this, earn this," meaning go live a good life. What we've come through, that's applicable for right now. Earn this. Let's all get out there and earn this. Earn your health. Earn, because again, the people that are really suffering from this is because they weren't healthy. And so it's so important to be healthy. And the people that spread it on a negative side is because they weren't healthy or catch it. So we can spread health. We can also spread confidence. That's what I really feel like I'm trying to do here, is bring about confidence of, we don't know what, but you do know this, and you could know what you would do. And it's good to know what you would do. It's good to know what to do. It's good to know, if this happens, I would do this. If this happens, I would do this. Um, you know, that builds, that's what all the warriors basically say is, it wasn't that I was scared. It wasn't that I was not afraid. It was just my training kicked in. And even when I went blanked out and went into automatic mode, I did the right thing and I survived and I helped other people survive. I was a lighthouse to other people because it was so deeply ingrained of, this is just what I do. So, some of these things, let me take some minutes here before Dr. Sivakumar calls in here, and let's go to this next step, which is, right, like, what are some of the stories of, you know, uh, like, again, like I forget his name, but he basically said, what's the end of the story? How did it turn out? Where did it start and how did it turn out? And I'll go through some of these steps of just, these are real people. I'm not going to tell you their names, but, you know, these are the real things that happen. So, a good example is like, okay, I had a person who had diabetes and was insulin dependent, meaning had to take the blood sugar and multiple times a day had to inject themselves with insulin, right? Came to me, helped me figure this out. I can tell you one of the things that we figured out with them is a back injury. So I talk about these mud packs, which is, she had an old back injury, and that normal nerve and energy flow that was going to her, not only her pancreas, but to her liver and to her stomach, it was a back injury. We did the mud packs, and now it tests on, and now those organs work better. But then we also got into, like, okay, now we get into supplements, because again, the insulin is a important for her life, but yet her body should be able to do the insulin. And could you ever get back to where I can stop doing these external things and get my body to do it itself? Yes. So for her, a big part of it was getting on the ketogenic diet, meaning high fat, high fat and protein. And she favored more plant-based type of thing, which is, she still ate very, very healthy. It wasn't just all bacon and pork and stuff. But she limited the carbohydrates, went into almost zero carbohydrates. Now you got people who are diabetic who always have those little sugars, around. I need my orange juice, and they keep giving themselves a hit of sugar, and they just roller coaster all over a place. Well, what happened is, and again, I'm not recommending that a person that has diabetes just do this without support. What is your support? You take your blood sugar so that you don't get into the danger zone. If a person drops, like 40 or below, and they'll start feeling weird, okay, have that sugar at the ready, have the insulin at the ready. But the things that we did was, the diet was the ketogenic diet, almost eliminated the carbohydrates. Went on what's called deltanol, which is the vitamin E. It's a high essential fatty acid. We fixed her fat metabolism so that now she could, instead of having to rely, because what got most people diabetic in the first place is they ate so many carbohydrates, and their system was geared towards that it became an addict towards just to eat, getting only energy off of sugar, and they body pretty much forgot how to make energy off of fat, and so they have to be reliant upon an external sugar source. So the people that have to have, like, the constant Starbucks, or have the 5-hour energy drinks or something like that, or go for a cake or a cookie or something like that. Oh, it helped me. But no, what it does is it strangles your system, and it makes it forget what it ever was able to do on its own. So, um, fixing the gallbladder and with the gallbladder ND and magnesium, very magnesium deficient. That is related to insulin response. Also, after a period of time of doing that stuff, then we had to go into the next stage, which is her whole nervous system was stuck because when you get a person that's, say, for instance, diabetic and insulin dependent, they they feel panicked. They actually say they feel panicked and their blood pressure and stuff. So what that means is they're stuck in a fight or flight response, meaning they are stuck secreting and stuck in the hormones that are the fight or flight hormones, which is the sympathetic dominance. And then the opposite to that, which is chill out, cool down, receive the insulin, that's what's called the parasympathetic dominance. Well, we have to have a balance between things, but she was stuck. And so one of the things with that is hemp. And now that it's legal here in Michigan, we're using hemp, the whole hemp product, which is high CBD and things like that. That helps the endocannabinoid system repairs the parasympathetic dominant and soothes the sympathetic dominant. It's like post-traumatic stress disorder. People with that type of thing, it's the same thing as like a post-traumatic stress disorder. So how do you fix that? Well, counseling and stuff like that. But no, what about on a biochemical level? You have to put the right hormones that are the happy ones and the healthy ones and the calming ones and the healing ones, and then suppress and bring down and block off what's called the sympathetic dominance. That's why it also went into another thing where she ended up having to do some real mental stuff, which is it's psycho-emotional, which is I sent her to what's called Byron Katie The Work, thework.com. It's these worksheets that you can do, and you do the work, and it just helps the whole mind. And then she started doing some breathing exercises, some yoga breathing, and calmed herself down, all while at the same time, because it's a tangled mess. So where is she right now? She still has to take. She has one of these insulin monitors that's kind of built into her. She doesn't take insulin anymore. Like there was one time in 3 months that it's just one day, but then she still checks it. But because of the monitor, she's able to live a normal life. Now, how long is she going to have that monitor on? Yeah, I give it another couple years just to make sure that you don't freak out that it's like, okay, let's make sure that this ice is thick enough to go walk on. Then she can eventually stop looking at that when it becomes stable. So it means can she be healed? Yes, you can be healed. And this person is on the other side of it where it's like, I don't even do insulin and I feel so much better. The ketogenic diet works better for her makeup. She's going to live this way forever because you have also people go, I had to do all this hard stuff. When do I get to go back to normal? Well, if normal was bad for you, why do you really want to go back? Sometimes you can kind of fix and get people to kind of go back to normal. But it's what they say. What's the new normal? Come up with a new normal. Come up with a normal that's a better normal. What is the normal that really works? Okay. So this is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority. And while we're waiting for Dr. Sivakumar to call up, let's go to the next one, which is a person with leg swelling, lots of leg swelling. Like you've seen people that look like this. They look skinny on the top, and their lower half looks like they're just like a fat, sloshy person. And it's like this very liquidy, wobbly fat. They look like they're two people smashed together. Well, that's the kidneys. The kidneys were really, really jammed up on this person. And so cleaning, because the kidneys helps you to drain the fluid out. And so her kidneys were jammed up. And so this fluid literally was leaking to her lower half in her waist, going below from her butt, her back, low back butt, all the way down to her legs. And even her calves, my sister said this, she has the same thing too, had the same thing, which is edema in the lower legs. She said, I don't call them calves, I call them cows. But when you solve this edema, meaning get the kidneys working again, this fluid drains out of her, and it's like the saddlebags disappear. What do? We really help the kidneys with the Renovan, what's called the kidney complex. That helps to clean, and then also what's called the russet potato juice. Go to my YouTube channel, Jason Eagle QRA, and I did a video that's on the kidney stones, how to dissolve kidney stones naturally. It's this, you get a juicer and you make a juice a special way, and you drink this juice, and it it's like that lime scale remover on your toilet bowl. Instead of scrubbing it, you just pour the stuff on it, and it disappears. It disappears these stones inside the kidneys, which she cleaned her kidneys out. She also had to really fix digest. How did this happen in the first place? Is poor digestion for a long, long period of time. The HCl, making sure she took a lot of HCl and was not eating food without the HCl. But then we get into some of these other things, which is how do you get this stuff out of there? How do you drain it out of there? And that's where you get into some of these mechanical means, which is she learned the benefit of what's called compression socks. You can go to, let's say, CVS or whatever, and she got the thigh high ones, not the knee ones, because she tried the knee ones, but then it just made like it swell up above the legs and then stuck there. So she had to use the thigh high ones, and they're really tight, and you roll them on, and what it does is it just squeezes the fluid uphill. And then when you combine that on top of, let's say, 20 minutes a day of doing what's called hyper elevation, meaning we all know is that if you elevate something above the heart, it makes the fluid drain out of it. Well, what you do is you lay on, let's say, the floor. Your back is flat on the floor, and then you put your backs of your legs, like your calves, on the back of a chair or the back of a couch. So you look like an L. And you lay there for about 10 to 20 minutes, excuse me, super elevation, and that gravity alone will squeeze stuff out of the legs so that, because where's this stuff that's in the legs? It's got to go in through the kidneys so that it can be urinated out. Okay, well, here he is, Dr. Sivakumar, and we're going to take him and we'll start talking. So, hello, Dr. Sivakumar, are you there?
Good afternoon, Jason. Yes, I am here. And thank you for having me again on the radio show. I think it's been about 2 weeks since I was with you last time. And
Yes.
so I was hoping to kind of join you again to update the listeners on what is going on with COVID infection.
Yes, that's excellent because kind of today's show is again, I'm doing that same thing, which is what to expect. Now that we've kind of come through some things, what should we be looking for? What does it mean? So, the first question I have is with your experience with this, what have you seen the average? What is the typical length of a hospital stay, with a person with COVID?
So, Jason, based on how ill a person would come in with this illness, it can vary anywhere from 3 days to 30 days, sometimes longer. So the good news is with the aggressive assessment and treatment right from the get-go, the outcomes have been fairly favorable, actually. And there are some very unfortunate situations where patients didn't get well and they didn't make it home. But for the most part, we were able to help majority of our patients. And if a patient didn't go to the intensive care unit, and they typically can return home in about 3 to 5 days. And if they do go to the intensive care unit requiring ventilatory support, then that requires a lot longer stay. So I don't know what the real national average is, because all these data are still evolving, but at least in the setting where I am at, that's the range we are seeing.
Well, that's actually really good, and I feel better about that too. But another question is when a person. So let's move forward to, it was that 3 days, it was a week, it was a month, whatever. Okay, you got them through. Now when a person leaves the hospital, when they are going home, right? What should they expect, and what should family members and other neighbors and all this? What should the community type of expect with that?
Right. It's a very good question, Jason. So there are 3 components to this process. Number 1, protecting yourself, making well, and continue to get better and recover from this illness fully. And during this process, you want to make sure that your family members are also taking adequate precaution and also engage in your care. and provide you with the care what you need. A lot of times you are quite sick and you're still recovering from the illness, so you can't do everything what you used to do prior to you falling ill. So a very typical example would be climbing stairs. Like once the lungs are affected by this infection, the air exchange inside the lungs tend to be rather slow. Sometimes they are not as strong as what it was prior to the illness. So we send home with oxygen supplementation. We send home with vitamins, with medications to recover from. Sometimes we send home with inhalers, tapering dose of other medications. So you need to kind of confine yourself to a room until you feel much better, okay? The issue is a lot of people are, after they fully recover from the illness, they still continue to shed the virus. So really the accurate answer to this question is still evolving. So in no means I'm a scientist, I'm a clinician. So I learned from the journals, I learned from taking care of people. So when it comes to family members, they should, use the CDC recommendation, which is wash your hands, don't touch your face, and wear mask, and keep the distance, and also sanitize the surfaces periodically. And the virus can stay on the surfaces for rather long period of time, anywhere from few hours to few days, depends on what kind of surface it is. So hygiene is a big part of making sure that both the sick person as well as the family members, they all continuously get better. And hydration is a very important part of recovery, because your kidneys are partly involved in this illness, and having adequate nutrition, healthy nutrition, is important as well. So the challenge is, when you are ill at the beginning, you are spending a lot of your energy fighting against the infection. So you are running short on majority of your nutrients. So it's important to try to eat 3 meals a day and focus on good quality food, and also slowly but surely start to do your own activities of daily living. But the important part of this process is to listen to your own symptoms. If you feel short of breath, slow down a little bit, don't push too hard. And if you are having, not well-formed stools, if you have diarrhea, and hydrate yourself better. And weakness is a big part of this recovery process. You just don't feel good. And so take your time. The range of duration, how long one would take to completely get back to normal, is based on how well they were to begin with. If they didn't have a lot of chronic medical illness, they tend to bounce back a lot faster compared to people who have chronic illnesses. So, and keeping in touch with your primary physician, with the infectious disease physician, or the physician who took care of you in the hospital post-discharge is also very important. And the last thing is medications. When we release people from hospital, we need to make sure that they have a good understanding of what medicines that we discontinued during hospital stay, and make sure that when they go home, they kind of, what we call them as a med reconciliation. You go through the list, go through the medications at home, make sure they are all, lining up with each other. And if there are discrepancies, you definitely want to reach out to the physician and clarify which one that we stopped, which one we advise you to continue.
Yeah, that's great. And in fact, that last part really talks to some of the problems that happen with some of these the care is there can be overlaps of medication and people can miss it and a computer system misses that. So I'm so glad that the system is really even using this as an opportunity to kind of fix that, which is basically really helping people to go home and learn some of the things that they need to change in their life, and then also this is a lot of conditions. We say this all the time, which is it's not just one person, it's a family. So it's a family disease and it's a family condition, which means it would even be better if the whole family kind of adopts some of these, especially with eating, because we have people that kind of come go, I can't wait to eat that pizza, I can't wait to do that junk type of thing, and or you'll have people that have been waiting for them to come home, going, can't wait to have a drink with them. But with an immunosuppressive and these different types of things, that's a big no-no for them, and in fact, then you would be a bad influence on them. So this is actually a good opportunity for everybody to get healthy, for the community to get healthy, for the neighborhood to get healthy, because people are coming back into a neighborhood that it is, people are now more aware of, I don't want to hurt them, I want to help them. And so the first part is making sure we don't expose or get exposed. But then as we get healthier, I'm sure there's another part where the next stage will be like, how long does it take for them to get back to normal? Then people then can then get back into, say, community things, but now it's always going to be healthier. So that's where we go from here, which is really, like I said before, which is what is the new normal? We need to fix the new normal, and this is a perfect opportunity for the patients with this, but the whole community to kind of say, this really addresses some of the things that we've needed to address for a long time, and we're going to feel better for all of this. And I really believe that, and I know that when you just look at just kind of health-wise, which is, people that really, because many people are going to come out of this going, I'm really going to watch what I eat from now on. And some people won't, but there will be more people that will because they see how detrimental, like how tenuous. I have a friend who is a really healthy guy. He does like these runs and stuff like that, like the go ruck type of stuff. Extremely healthy, ex-military guy, and I would have never thought he would have gotten it. He got it, and he's back home now, and they sent him with oxygen. But this really strong man, it turned him, and I think he's maybe 51 or something like that. I think he's a little bit young. I think he's late 40s. But literally, he would have been the person that I would say, there's no way that this person's getting it. Well, he did, and he still feels weak as a kitten. And he was like, this thing knocked me for a loop. But he's home, and he's healing, and the family are so happy to see him. And then now it gets into, okay, can't wait for us to all be healthy again, and then now we'll really wield some healthy lives. So thank you so much, Dr. Sivakumar, for being there in the front line, and we're going to have you on again because you and I talked about like getting into some of the specifics about talking about what are these things that we really need to make sure, like I said, the vitamin D, the vitamin C, the zinc, making sure you have adequate protein, making sure you have enough vegetables, making sure that you're eating, very clean eating. You and I are gonna go over this from my perspective and your perspective, and we see that they're one and the same, and they really kind of come to what should people really, really adopt as their new normal. So does that sound like a good idea?
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, I'll be back with you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Doctor. We'll see you later.
Thank you. Okay.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye. Okay, everybody, like I said, right there from the horse's mouth. And, you know, um, this is, again, it's all about healing and it's all about the big thing, like I said, is if we can get back to what really needs to be healed. It's not even necessarily, for instance, a person's immune system. Yes, but that's secondary. What needs to be healed is how do you get there in the first place? And it really was, for the most part, it was the way we lived and what we thought was normal. especially in American way of living, is not normal, and it shouldn't be normalized. Meaning the lack of nutrients, the amount of junk food eating, and the willy-nilliness of alcoholism and sugar, which is probably worse than alcohol, is it should never have been normalized. I mean, I know kids right now that I mean, there are kids that are in their 20s and they were raised where, because candy was so available, like they were given candy all the time. But not only me in my neighborhood, but most kids in the neighborhood, which is, there were some kids, and I went over to that kid's house, but it was not allowed to be. You had it as a special occasion. But now it's so available, especially at the checkout counter, like just grab this, that it's crept in so easily. And people are healthier when they limit exposures to those good things, because too much of a good thing can really be damaging. We're getting close to the end of the show, and I got a whole bunch of one of the things I want to go into. Yes, so let's get into this one, right? Another woman, another case of where did it start and where did it end? A woman with really bad menopause, meaning the hot flashes, just miserable, can't sleep through the night. You know, Many people know what that's like, and family members. My mom, when she had menopause, she had it really bad, and hers was actually induced worse. This is way back in the 1980s, and because they put her on estrogen therapy, and quite frankly, it's probably one of the things that contributed to her breast cancer. But it totally messed up her hormones, and when she had really, I remember being in the car with her, and it was like, put the air conditioner on. Okay, okay. No, put the heat on. Okay, put the air conditioner on. And it was just like, and the whole car had to suffer, but you could see that she was suffering. Well, this woman, menopause, it was just like that. And what did we find in her? Well, number one, hormones are all messed up because you cannot deliver the hormones with the fat metabolism. And so we had to fix her fat metabolism. That's the end of the story, but the beginning phase is we needed to put her on some good precursors to healthy hormones. So one of them was called the amino HGH. It's these different amino acids that helps you to build human growth hormone. And in particular for her, there's a number of different things, like there's a fem balance, and there's things that are geared towards men. But, human growth hormone is kind of a master hormone. It helps to regulate all the other hormones. And so putting her on something help her to produce more of her human growth hormone, more, so she could gain more muscle mass, and help her thyroid and her hypothalamus and pituitary work better, because those are the things that, hypothalamus in particular, are the things that makes you sweat or the thing that makes you shiver. It helps with your base level thermoregulation. Now, we also had to put her on what's called the DHA. So since she couldn't digest fats very well, she was also very fat deficient, but she couldn't digest fats very well. So we're kind of in a conundrum. So for this case, what you do is you put people on, let's say, DHA, or eat extra avocados, or just make sure that olive oil, the coconut oil, but always take it with limonene. Limonene is just 2 to 3 drops of this little orange oil that you drink with water as you eat something with fat, so that now the fat absorbs into the cell, and the fat is what carries hormones, because hormones are fat soluble. They have to go into a fat packet. But if you can't get the fat in the cell, you're kind of out of luck. So, but that's repairable. Then we had to also get her to clean her liver out, and there's this thing called the master liver flush, which basically stones will come out of you. You'll get a bunch of stones, not kidney stones, but gallstones, and gallstones out of the liver, because if your gallbladder is full up with these stones, there's no room to squirt the bile out. So, and then the next step for her, this is kind of step one, step two, is the xenostat, which is, these are seaweeds, because when your hormones get really messed up, what happens is the cells are stuck in estrogen dominance. And it's not true estrogen, because of all of the plastics and all the chemicals in our modern life. When they break down in the body, they break down into these molecules that are the same exact puzzle piece as estrogen. So what they do is they fit into the docking ports of all of your cells, and especially your reproductive organ cells. And so those cells are overstimulated by estrogen, but it's not real estrogen, it's false estrogen. So what the xenostat does is it pulls it out. It grabs onto these xenoestrogens, traps them so it can be eliminated out of the body, thereby getting it out of the cell so that true estrogen can park back in there. It made it so. Where is she now? No, basically she had a couple different things, which is a lot of hormone menopause symptoms, but also she was losing hair because of what's called dihydrotestosterone. She was getting male pattern baldness, a woman with great hair, that the hair was thinning, and she was starting to get a bald patch right where a man would, and started growing whiskers, right? She started to have to shave. I feel sad for ladies that have to do that. Is it just your lot in life to just have to wax your face all the time? No. So now she didn't have to shave, she didn't have to wax, her hair grew back, she doesn't have, because we repaired her hormones, because we repaired the hormone delivery system, and she's living life and feeling great. Let me take one more. Okay, then this one goes another one, which is a woman with depression. Depression and weight gain. Weight, that is a weight problem, and then also lots of pain. She had lots of what you would call fibromyalgia, okay? So with her, a lot of fibromyalgia cases is the same thing with a lot of weight, is it's a deficiency in magnesium, one of these base things. Vitamin D, vitamin C, magnesium, zinc, sodium. These are these basic things. Potassium. If you don't get them right, you can really suffer. And so, which it also means is making sure you just take this basic stuff. It makes such a huge difference. She also got some body work. She was holding to like with the fibromyalgia, her back hurt all the time. But see, if all she got was massage and body work, that doesn't fix it, because her muscles were so tight, her connective tissue was so tight, and it couldn't relax. So magnesium is a natural muscle relaxant. Plus, it makes her hormones work better, especially her insulin response. So when we put in the magnesium, then her weight got better. And then here's one of the other things, though. She was that case that I referred to, which is it was better, but it wasn't enough until she moved to Florida. She had a divorce, and she was already divorced from this ex-husband, and there was some abuse and stuff like there. But what happened is she was still living close to him, and and it wasn't really a good thing. It wasn't healthy for her. And she also, every time she would go visit Florida, she felt so much better. So she just put two and two together and goes, you know what? I'm just going to move. And she moved to Florida. And when she moved to Florida and got that son and moved away from the ex-husband, it was like, boom. It just, the final thing happened, and she got her full healing, and her body has changed. She feels so different. She feels so much better. She did some emotional work, but she really listened to her body, and it was like, if the body says this and you don't want to do it, then you're not prepared. And are you willing, if it says that, which is, I remember back in the day, which is when kids had asthma, the doctor would say, like if you lived in Michigan or New York, the doctor would say, I'm sorry, you guys, the whole family has to move out to Arizona because these kids can't breathe and the inhalers don't work, but it's the pollen and stuff like that. So move them to an extreme climate out in the desert, out in Arizona or Nevada. Boom, it went away. And now the kid's happy, but the whole family is happy and everything. Sometimes it takes these things. I'm here to help you figure this out. Like I said, I'm here to help you heal yourself. I don't heal you. I help you because you're the one that has to do the work. It's just, what work do you do? Where do you put your efforts? I will help you put your efforts in the right place. This is Jason Eagle, your Natural Health Authority. Till next time, bye-bye.
You've been listening to Ask the Experts with Jason Eagle of Strategic Healing. Jason will help you live a pain-free, high-energy, healthier life naturally. As a certified practitioner in multiple healing modalities, Jason creates a finely tuned and highly personalized program just for you that will get you back to living your best life. Get started today by calling 734-985-5891 to make your appointment, or go online to strategichealing.us. Strategic Healing is located at 2545 North Opdyke Road, Suite 106A in Auburn Hills. Ask the Experts with Jason Eagle of Strategic Healing can be heard every Wednesday at 1 p.m. right here on WRDT, the Word Station. The materials and information provided in this broadcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended for use as diagnosis, prevention, or treatment of a health or other problem, or as a substitute for consulting a licensed medical professional. Some concepts presented herein may be theoretical and have little or no scientific substantiation. Users are advised to conduct their own diligence.